Now we're recording.
So should I start? Yeah. All right. Okay. So hello, everyone. It's lovely to have you all. I'd like to welcome you to our webinar today, which is titled Empowering Education, Exploring Generative AI-Based Tutoring Systems for Upper Egypt Community Schools, with our brilliant speaker, Dr. Marwa Soudi, who I will properly introduce right now. We at the Access to Knowledge for Development Center at AUC School of Business, we're proud to be hosting our webinar today as the Middle East and North Africa hub of the Feminist AI Research Project or Network, and which we call FAIR for short. I'll also tell you a bit more about the FAIR project, but let me introduce Dr. Marwa, who is an AI PhD candidate at Tallinn University, the School of Digital Technologies in Estonia, and she is also the co-founder of Ideas Gym. Marwa is a serial entrepreneur with more than 15 years of experience in the educational tech industry. She is currently a junior researcher of digital transformation and lifelong learning at Tallinn, I hope I'm pronouncing it correctly, University, and a PhD candidate there as well, with a focus on responsible AI and how to build a trustworthy AI ecosystem for small and medium enterprises. She is the co-founder and technology capacity building manager at Ideas Gym. In 2018, she also won the ICT for Women First Place Award for co-founding Ideas Gym. It's an e-learning platform, and the award was presented by the Ministry of Communication in cooperation with UNDP and Telecom Egypt. She was also awarded the Tony LMU grant for entrepreneurship in Africa in 2018. Marwa holds a bachelor's of science and a master's of science in electronics and communications from Alexandria University, and also an MA in educational technology from the University of Tartu in Estonia, where she focused on the role of tinkering and making in educational technology, which are all very, very interesting things. Before I give the floor to Marwa to tell us about her great work, I'll tell you briefly about our center and about the FAIR network. Our center, the Access to Knowledge for Development Center, is a regional research center, and it was established in 2010 by our founding director, Dr. Nagla Rizk, who you all know. She's a professor of economics at AUC, or all her students, obviously. At A2K4D, we engaged in multidisciplinary and policy-relevant research and activities in this area of digital technologies and knowledge governance, innovation, and inclusive development. Our research focus continues to evolve with new developments in this field, and this has now expanded to include things like new technologies like artificial intelligence, relevant issues of data and data governance in various fields, new forms of work that are emerging in the digital economy. And in all of these areas, we always have a focus on the impact of such developments on women and other key vulnerable groups, especially youth, which is, as a group is very relevant to our region. So in general, while women stand to benefit a lot from technological advancements, they also tend to bear a disproportionate amount of the shortcomings of such developments. And one area or project that we are working on to explore solutions to such issues is the Feminist AI Research Project. So the Feminist AI Research Project, or FAIR for short, it is an initiative of something called the A+ Global Alliance Coalition. The A+ Alliance is a coalition, or it's a group of feminists, feminist technologists, activists, academics, so from different disciplines, dedicated to the proposition that new algorithmic systems, basically how AI works, and I'm sure Marwa will tell us more about this, must not embed already biased systems in our collective futures, and that the new models must reach beyond mitigation of bias to actively correct for any historic inequalities. As the Middle East and North African hub of the A+ Alliance, our activities involve knowledge creation and raising awareness about the importance of advancing a feminist approach to applied AI development. To do this, we harness our local, regional, and global partnerships to bring together and grow a MENA-wide feminist AI network of stakeholders across different disciplines and different institutions who are passionate about how applied AI can serve as a tool for positive change for women in our region. Dr. Marwa, and her fantastic interdisciplinary team are the recipients of the latest round of support from this project, which is in turn supported by Canada's International Development Research Centre. where there are different projects exploring the utilization of AI technologies, like I said, for more equitable outcomes. In Dr. Marwa and her team's case, it is in the field of education, and specifically with a case for generative AI-based tutoring systems in Upper Egypt community schools. This all sounds, I know, may sound a bit complicated, so without further delay, I would like to pass the floor to Dr. Marwa, who will start us off with an overview of her project, and then we will sort of have a discussion with some guiding questions, and there will be ample time for Q&A. I know, Khadika, yeah, thanks, Khadika. We have just a quick logistics that our webinar is being recorded. If you post on social media about it, please mention us at A2K4D and at A Plus Alliance. Our duration for today is 60 minutes, and there is a Q&A session at the end. If you'd like to ask your question in person, please wait till the Q&A and raise your hand, or you can type it in text into the chat. Without further ado, I'd like to pass the floor to Dr. Marwa. Go ahead.
Thank you, Nadine, for this introduction, and Nagla and Khadija for all the good words that you said about me. So, how are you, everyone? I usually don't like the formal start from my side, but before starting to share my screen and talk about the project I'm supposed to talk about, while Nadine was talking and trying to explain the project, Feminist AI, I was just reading today a paper about a sort of a research. It was a mixed method research, and it was about feminist social contribution and things like that. And I would like just to elaborate at this point, because many of you could think, why should be a sort of an approach called a feminist AI approach, or feminist to the research work, or feminist anything from those things when it comes to research work, why we should label it. The problem is there is a lack of the contribution of women inside the research work. And when it comes to technology and artificial intelligence, and as we are progressing in technology, this becomes something important. The reason is, since we are feeding the systems with data, this data need to be covering most of our the people in this community, which is, we have male and we have female, so we need to cover this two genders inside this data, and also in the design aspects of any of those systems. So having those systems just from one side, the male side, resulted in what we call gender bias. Okay, and it's something that needs to be addressed in the systems at the moment. The same for women goes for the same for any disadvantaged group, and goes this same concept you can apply when it goes to Black people or any minorities in any place. So this is why it's important to include in your data and design as much as possible different stakeholders, to make sure that you are avoiding discrimination and bias. Okay, so I'm thankful for Nagla and the whole team, and for this research to support this sort of voices when it comes to female who are trying to contribute to the research work, since the majority of fund and the majority of projects are led already by men, and the female voice, and how they see the data and design the systems is not need to be more. We need this more and more in the coming years, to make sure that there is a sort of inclusiveness on the designs that we are doing. Now I will start to go forward with my work. Just 1 second. So I didn't want to remove the word explainable here. And Nagla, thanks to her, she asked me this question about that I was doing my work in explainable. Then I changed that responsible AI. And this is something I think it could be a good advice for you as well. the story why I use explainability is I have this I have ideas gym, and my thesis, the later one for my master degree, was about tinkering and making, and one of the things that I discussed there was case studies. I think I'm frozen. I'm back. Okay. Was a group of case studies talking about the importance of the presence of a mentor and facilitator in the environment while we are teaching technology. Okay. And then at the same time, we started to have our own online platform. That was 2018. And I wanted to see how pedagogically we can move from a face-to-face environment to an online environment. And this is why I started my master's degree in Tartu, and I spent some time in Finland, like around 3 months there. Then after I'm back, I saw that I asked some questions when I was designing my courses. I was asking certain questions to make sure that I can understand the students from the other side of the network. And then I found that if I want to give this task to anyone who is not Marwa, I need the system to be explainable to them. I need them to know why those recommendations came in place or what is going on. And this is why I wanted to start my project on explainability. I didn't know the name at that time, actually, that there is something called explainable AI. But I talked to my supervisor, who became my supervisor later on, and she guided me to start my research work on explainable AI. And then when I started to work in explainable AI and I covered all the dimensions related to explainability, I found that the situation is much bigger. You need to have responsible artificial intelligence, and you need to have trustworthy artificial intelligence. Something similar happened when we started this project. We wanted to build an explainable AI tutoring system. Our aim at that time is just to give explanations to the teachers about the learning analytics decisions, or why the system is taking recommendations. We need to explain why the system is recommending such a thing to the teacher and so on. But that took us further, actually, to the generative AI-based tutoring system and to a wider view of how to design an AI tutoring system. So let me start from here to introduce you to the project. First of all, it wasn't only me working in this project. We were 4 in this phase in which we wanted to have research to paper. And those were my my colleagues in this project. So we had Nihal Mabruk. Nihal had the experience in teaching and in neural networks, and we had Isra from computer science background, and she worked in personalization of systems. And also we had Maha Bali, who is a professor at the UC, and she was like our consultant when it came to pedagogies and the AI using AI in teaching. So let me introduce to you generative AI tutoring system, the context and the objective. So we wanted here in this project to address education challenges. We decided in this project to support community schools in Upper Egypt. In case you don't know community schools, I will give you a very brief about them. People go to the regular education, so you go from grade 1 to grade 2 to grade 3 and so on. But in community schools, you can have students from age 10 to 15 years old studying the same materials because they didn't go to the traditional system of education. They didn't enter grade 1 and grade 2 and grade 3. They were not in the formal educational system. So they get in those community schools a sort of a donor who donate a certain place, one class, one room, in which students of a certain village come between age like 10 to 12, 10 to 15, and they start to move gradually from grade 1 to grade 2 to grade 3 to grade 4 and so on. Okay. And there are NGOs, different NGOs supporting those community schools in Egypt. So we communicated with one of them, and this NGO we cooperated with was still operating. They are operating a group of classrooms, community schools classrooms in Asyut. So we wanted to go there and see how such a system using generative AI can support those people. The most important thing for community schools is the majority of the students are usually girls, and all the staff mainly are women, because women go teach them from the women from the village go teach them mathematics, Arabic, and they have two teachers uh, always there supporting them and explaining to them different topics. Not to mention that sometimes they teach them all the topics. And they have this sort of classroom there. And we wanted to see how generative AI could be as a good support, or how AI or technology can even be sort of a tool that can enhance their education. Okay, so we wanted to explore the integration of generative AI-based tutoring system, customized mainly for the community schools. And the research period and activities was from like March 2023 up to September 2023. It was 6 months. So a good approach, since I was already, as Nadine mentioned, my biography, I am an engineer, and then I made a couple of switches in the middle by studying educational technology, and then now doing my PhD in responsible AI. So one of the things that I started to study and love as I study is the human-centered design approaches, like to shift my mindset from the engineering mindset, and that took me some time, shift my mindset from the engineering design mindset to the human-centered design approach mindset, and that required for me some effort. Why I'm saying this? Because when we design things from engineering perspective, we want to see our baby, our creation. This is the focus. The focus is getting something out. But when you are having a sort of a human-centered approach, you are looking how what you are doing is going to serve a certain community from the community perspective, not from your own perspective. So I might think that if I design generative AI tutoring system with certain features, that if I go with this system to community schools, they will love it, they will do everything, they will learn, and everything will go smoothly. This is my assumption. But maybe if I go to them and ask them what they want, I will find that they need simple things, and this is not what they want, and or they want another sort of features. So this is how things go when you want to design things from a human-centered approach. So as you see, I talked already about this problem, the qualified teachers. We wanted to have qualified teachers in those community schools. And by having good qualified teachers, we increased the impact of the education. And what intelligent tutoring systems in general could give us is, it seems as if it is a promising solution to support learning and studying, and offer personal. This is what is said in about any intelligent tutoring system, that is going to support education, that is going to give you a personalized learning, that it's going to give you a good opportunity. And with the generative AI jumping to the table in 2023, many research became it became popular to see how generative AI could serve tutoring systems and enhance the education, or make an impactful and powerful educational systems. Okay. I explained also this. So, how we started our work? We started with investigative phase first. We talked to the NGO stakeholders, and we talked to the teachers, and we asked them about what is going on. And they supposed to have tablets inside this school. This is number one. Number two, they have they were when we asked them which subject you would like us to focus on during this research, they said mathematics. And we wanted to see, okay, so how the students can study mathematics using a tutoring system. So what we did after that is we made a research about what sort of systems available at tutoring systems available teaching mathematics, focused on mathematics, and then we choose Khan Academy to be the tutoring system, the platform that we used in our test when we visited the school. Okay. And when we went there and met with the teachers, we reached those sort of findings. First of all, that gender doesn't influence mathematical performance, challenges in teaching complex mathematical operations, the importance of technology in teaching, and the need for tutoring system to have interactive, gamified content and practice questions. What I'm seeing here is the final findings, but basically what happened is we assumed that there is a difference between the girls and the boys when they are studying mathematics, but we didn't find this. We assume that maybe because there is a variety in the age group, 10 years and 15 years studying together, that maybe 15 years old students are better than 10 years, or maybe the opposite. But we found no, it's all like individual differences, and we can't like have a fit like a description that we can say that all this group, all girls are performing bad, or all young students are performing better than older students. We couldn't do this. And also the teachers couldn't say something like that. They said that it's according to the individual differences between students. The other thing is when we let the students to interact with Khan Academy, it was complicated for them, not because of the language, but because of the lack of the sort of interaction or figures or images. It was like for them, like you are watching something without any sort of entertainment or attraction. It wasn't attractive to them. The videos there was not attractive to them. And when we showed the teachers the learning analytics results and the Excel sheets coming out, for them, it was something very complicated to go and analyze this data. So we asked them, what do you want if you want to have an intelligent tutoring system? So we can start designing what you want. We can try to use technology, the current technologies to make the magic you are looking for. And here we came with the proposed solution. And at that point, I would like to move to another presentation before jumping to the conclusion and findings. Just 1 second. So this one is mainly for the design itself and for the solution. So you can see those are photos from my visit to Asyut, and those were the students. For their privacy, I had to blur their eyes, sadly. I don't like to do this, but at the same time, I have to do it. And you can see here also some photos from their interaction during the class. And then the most important question, what do teachers want from a tutoring system? So the thing that teachers said that they need a ready-made content with the ability to customize this content. So they don't want a content that they can't like manipulate or add things to it. No, they need to add, they need to control they need content, they need someone to help them with the content, but at the same time, they need to have the upper hand over this content. And this content need to be edutaining, and it would be very cool if we can have like sort of for questions for practice. And then when it comes to the students' reports, they want to have explainable and visualize the students' report explaining each student's performance. So we came with the proposed solution. And we can say that our proposed solution is with the like three main blocks. The first block is related to the content generation. And here, let me stop a bit. So what we are currently working on in our design is to, like, you can write your own lesson plan, write your own lesson, or you can ask the system to generate the lesson for you. Okay. In both cases, after the text, the text of the lesson got generated, you can highlight what you want, what pieces you want to have a piece of video, a scene appearing in the video that you want to show to the students to explain, and whatever you want. So for example, if we are interested to explain to the students, to talk to the students about fraction, so you can see here in the left side of the screen that fraction is a number that's used to represent the whole number, blah, 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 blah. And then there is an example that if you divide a cake into 8 equal parts, you will have 1/8 of the cake and so on. So you can have this translated by the system to a scene in which you see a cake and divide it into 8 slices, and you get one of those slices out. So this is the point. That what the system will do here is transfer text to video, and any video is composed of different scenes, and each scene is corresponding to a certain part in the text. What the teachers do here is they have the upper hand to edit this text. If they want to add something that will be transformed to a scene, they can do this. And if they want to highlight certain parts and ignore others that they don't want to have scenes related to it, they can do this as well. So they have this upper hand to edit the text, and what parts of this text will be transformed into scenes. Sorry. And now we have this generative AI teachers to create a pool of questions. This became popular using generative AI now at the moment. Maybe 6 or 8 months ago when we started, it wasn't that popular. But now there is this possibility that instead of having the teachers writing their own questions, they need sometimes a pool of questions that they can show to the students to start testing them or for practice. So the second block, so this is the content part, which is composed of like having the text to video to show to the students those videos to understand the concept of the lesson and have questions for practice. So this is the content part. Then the second block is about a learning management system, because how you are going to, you have the content in your hand now, you have the videos, you have the questions, but you need to have a platform to interact with the students and to gather the data, that the analytics, and to see how they are interacting with the lesson, to show them the lesson, to show them the questions, to allow them to answer. So this is what is the learning management systems are all about. So there are different learning management systems like Moodle, Odoo, different learning management systems with that are open source systems. So the teachers integrate those videos and those questions to form a lesson, a whole lesson with a video, interactive video, and the questions that's going to appear to the students, put that to the learning management system. Then the block 3 is, for example, using something like Odoo dashboard or one of the Moodle's dashboard to create a sort of explanations and graphical interface for the results of the interaction of the students with this content materials, and to have it in a visualized format or explainable format, not to be like a statistical format like you have it in an Excel sheet or as a raw data, because teachers don't have time or enough expertise to analyze what is in the Excel sheet. And this is the solution explained briefly. Now let's go back to the conclusion and the findings of the whole study. My apologies, but seems something in the network. Okay. Okay, so what we reached by the end of, in a conclusion, this study underscored the potential of integrating AI tutoring system for the community school. We see that this is important and it could help the teacher to empower them by giving them content they want and by giving them the questions they want. They can edit those videos instead of having something ready-made video from here or there, which is not what they want to show to the students. And actually, we found that, for example, videos on YouTube in Arabic language were really very, very, very bad. In English language, they were most of them were the majority of the videos were complicated. And actually, directing the students to use YouTube is a sort of a challenging because you can find the irrelevant ads, irrelevant content, and it's not customized for education. Now we are working in evaluating this prototype and building this prototype. Then after we finish, we are supposed to go back to Asyut, check it with with the students there, with the teachers there, and refine our design based on the results of that. Okay, so you can see that this project is hitting like around 4 of the sustainability, the global goals, because it helps introduce the gender equality, the reduce the inequalities, enhance the gender equality, and increase the quality of education. And also it helps in no poverty because we are serving here disadvantaged group. And from what I know from what I knew from those community schools, the good students coming and graduating from those schools, some of them already entered to universities, some of them entered to global international universities, and their life got changed because education is that weapon that can hit the magic stick. If it's done right, you can really transform the lives of many people. Those are some references, and thank you. So I hope I was precise and yeah.
Thank you, Marwa, so much. Thank you for this like nice overview and like just touching on the very, very interesting things going on in the project. I thought we could have just like a conversation and also to help get the audience and the students thinking with us about more about the different aspects of the project. And so I know that we touched on this, but maybe you could tell us a bit more. So from what you from where you were going in and what you found, how do you see that? How can these generative AI-based tutoring systems enhance the educational experiences in community schools? Like I know you spoke a bit about it, but if you'd like to tell us a bit more maybe of what you had in mind and what you saw on the ground, and also it's open to the students to think about it and we can discuss it in the Q&A.
Look, so far up till now, I am not with the idea of like leaving a chatbot, a generative AI chatbot in the hands of the students teaching them. Like they ask the chatbot and the chatbot explaining to them. So because this is somehow people think when we talk about generative AI as a sort of a tutor, like you ask them question and they reply back to you and you take the reply as a sort of for granted education. I am not with this unless you are an expert. Like if the teacher is doing this, she knows what sort of data she's receiving. She can recognize wrong data from the right data, or she has enough experience to know if the answer of the chatbot is relevant to the topic or not. Okay. But when we talk here about generative AI, the teacher want to show the students something for illustration, visualization, something to visualize a certain complicated concept. Okay. And since you are talking about environment with low resources, and you need to show them something, you can get like a sort of animator or a designer to design something, a sort of a small animation or a small video for the sake of to serve the teacher in her mission to explain a certain concept, especially when it comes to mathematics. So what generative AI is doing currently, it's a sort of a revolution if it is used in a right way to empower someone like a simple teacher to have her like own animator with her or a designer with her to enable her to reflect her words into designs that when she shows to the students, they can understand the complicated concept, you see. So basically, content creation, I worked in content creation in different ways and in media creation. So basically, before you need the many experts to design something with a small short video for you, you need certain experts, you need the money to do this, to explain to the students a small concept. But having this generative AI, the APIs transforming text to video is very powerful because you can explain a complicated concept in a simple way using the visuals without you being an expert in design visuals, you see. So we don't expect the teachers to be like experts in designing, especially in community school in Upper Egypt, to be like experts in designing, to spend the time in different platforms, to go here and there to make a design that can help them explain. Now the point is, uh, by having this sort of a seamless interface, this is what we aim for. Like they can have in one place to click a button in couple of buttons, and like in 10 minutes they have a lesson, animated, interactive, that can explain a complicated concept to the student. That is going to make a lot of difference to the students, you see. Same when it comes to the questions, because maybe the majority of the teachers, they don't have enough time to gather questions from different places and to start write those questions. They don't have enough time. And also you need them to focus with people who needs um, more attention. We are talking about a special environment in which we have students like around 30 students or something, between age 10 years to 15 years old, and there is a variety in their understanding of different lessons and different concepts. So you expect there that you find some students who are like fast learners and slow learners, and that happens in every way, in every classroom, not only on the community schools, but with limited resources and a small number of teachers who need to control this environment. You need the teacher to save her time and to focus with those who need help. So by saving her time in searching and looking for content and designing a good interactive content, you are giving her more space and more time to go and help those students who need.
All right. Thank you so much, Marwa. And I think sort of the next question in our conversation is actually also echoed in what I can see. We have a couple of questions in the Q&A. So please feel free also to post your questions, or if anyone would like to raise their hand at this point. The second question asks and also asks about the potential benefits and challenges of implementing such a system in a resource-constrained environment. So that's also the question here that we have in the Q&A asks again about how the considering the different resource limitations like internet connectivity, for example. So that was the question from our audience as well. So Marwa, if you'd like to tell us about that, please go ahead.
Okay. So basically, in this school, people mainly, you imagine that if you go there, there are zero resources. We are not talking about zero resources, okay? So this, for example, the community school that we are dealing with, they have funds from different foundations, so they have tablets and internet inside the school. They might not have a good air conditioning system at all, so I was suffering when I went there from the weather and the very hot weather, but they have tablets. So this is how we are like depending on the technology. And they have a projector and they have a laptop that they can connect to the internet. So you see here that there are a sort of resources that can be utilized. Like you can have this laptop, the teacher is working on her laptop, designing the lesson, and she can show it to everyone in front of her. in the classroom using that she can generate the lesson using generative AI, and she can show the video to the whole classroom, okay, using the projector. Then using tablets, she can direct each student to start to answer the questions, and then on her laptop she receives the results of those students, what they did, and the analysis, and if there are recommendations by the system for her, for the teacher to enhance certain dimensions for the students, or something to do with the student. So this is when it comes to the technology. So low resources doesn't mean no resources. Some NGOs are there are foundations giving some support to those community schools. Maybe it's not a fancy classroom like international or other schools, but there are resources there that can be utilized.
Good point. Thank you very much. I see Dr. Nagla has her hand up. So.
Yes.
Sorry, I was cut off. So can I ask a question now?
Yes. We've opened the Q&A.
Thank you. I have a question that if you're going to take other questions, you can maybe answer this in the end, but you've given us a fantastic example of how the technology can be used to overcome biases that are in society and to overcome gaps and weaknesses. And so I wanted to zoom out a little bit, and maybe that's why I say maybe you answer it in the end after other questions. Can you, how feasible is this? I mean, in other words, can you think of other ways where AI can be used? As an AI expert, I ask you to not only to mitigate biases within the AI system or within society, are there other ways to use the technology to overcome the biases that we are facing every day, online and offline, analog and digital? So you've given us a very good example of how we can be hopeful about the positive use of AI to overcome all these gaps and inequalities. How feasible is this in other fields, or in general? Is education a field where you see more potential? Just your reflections on this issue, on how we can use the technology positively to overcome the challenges that we face online and offline. And as I say, I know it's a general question, so I will stop there, and maybe you can take other questions related to your work in particular, but this is also part of your work, if you can give us a conclusion on this at some point. Thank you so much, Amar.
Thank you. Nadine, if we don't have other questions, I can just jump and answer Dr.
We have two questions
okay.
in the audience.
Okay.
So one of them asks, will there be any metrics used to measure the success of the system in improving student outcomes, or how would you do you plan to assess it, or from the audience?
So we are using, our methodology is that we are using two things. We are using a participatory design approach. So we go to the participatory design, you go to the stakeholders, test and evaluate and take their feedback, and then enhance until everyone is satisfied. This is one of the things that to be done. The other thing is we use a quasi-experimental approach. This is what we used in the first experiment, and we are going to use again, in which you divide the students into group A and a group B, and group A take a lesson with the teacher, and the group B take the lesson from watching the video and on the platform. Then group A and group B starts to answer the questions. Then you give them another lesson and switch the groups, and then start to see compare the difference in their performances. Just 1 second, I need to get my daughter in. Just 1 second.
Sure, no problem. In the meantime, if anyone has any questions, they don't need to be complicated questions. If you need if anyone was wondering about something in the technology, or something like not directly related, but could have anything from a development perspective, that's also welcome. Any questions are welcome. So if you have a question, please raise your hand or type it in the chat. No problem.
I am back.
All right, go ahead.
So I was saying that we used to do this. So for example, we had two lessons. We had the fraction and we had the division. That we gave them questions about something they took before, and questions about something that they didn't take before, to see if it is the students who are intuitive and can like reach the results by themselves or what. And then we show them the lesson on the platform and see how they are going to answer. So we keep like dividing them into groups, showing them different things, and compare the results to make sure if the platform is the one helping them or what. Also, we are using here a mixed method design approach as well, because we rely on two things: the quantitative data as the answers, measuring the answer of the students and see how which questions they are answering and the scores that they are achieving. And also qualitative part, which is related to the observations and quoting the responses and the teacher's responses and so on. Then we compare both the quantitative results with the qualitative results to understand the situation better. So this is in brief. So there is no a sort of a rubric, rigid
All
rubric
right.
to
Thank you
say,
very
okay,
much.
this is success or not. It's
Welcome.
different methods used. Yeah.
Okay, so it's a number of different methods. Okay, thank you. I'll just finish off with there maybe like there's a question from Dr. Negla and another one from the audience that are sort of in line with each other, and then we have another question, and maybe Marwa, you can take the remaining 10 minutes to answer them if you'd like. So the questions posed by the audience and by Dr. Negla are about the scalability of the work. So a question, there's a comment that says, I think it's a wonderful initiative. And is it possible to be implemented more widely within Egypt? So that's a question about the tutoring systems within Egypt. And then also a further question or an elaborate, like a wider scope, is about the scalability of the work to other contexts and other countries. So scalability on different, within topic, like, I mean, sorry, within country in the same topic, but also within other topics. That's one sort of a line of question. And then there's a question, the question actually I had in mind was about collaboration in general. So there are collaboration to put together a project like this. So again, on two levels, there's a collaboration between the different stakeholders, and I think it's relatable to other work. So collaboration between the different stakeholders involved here. So your team, the NGOs, and the community. That's one, and then also the collaboration within this. I'm sorry if it's a lot of questions. In the larger sense, between an interdisciplinary research team like yours, because in our type of work, we see that it's very unique to find a research team that has researchers from very different disciplines working together. And this is like sort of key to work on a successful applied AI application that is responsible and that is feminist and that sort of thing. So if you could elaborate to us on those.
Okay, so let me reply first for the scalability. When it comes to the topic of mathematics, it's the topic itself is scalable itself, because mathematics is like a universal language. Also, what we are designing is not focusing on the language as much as focusing on the visualization, illustration, and creating questions, and the visualizations and the explainability of the results of the analytical system. The majority even of the open source learning management systems, there is different languages now. So you can have not only English, you can have things in Arabic and other languages. So it's not a problem to scale such a system. So it's not a problem for us to scale it in other countries or inside Egypt. It's not the problem. As long as there is a foundation or an institute that can support the technology aspect in those community schools, then there's not going to be an issue. For collaboration between the team, I think that this is one of the things which is important. It's about the diversity. So we had our first team that I showed you in the slide. Now we have another team working to the prototype on the implementation. So we have one who is an expert in reinforcement AI learning and in machine learning. We have a management of technology expert for the product design and leading the the product development phases. I am involved from pedagogical dimension and as the principal investigator to manage and stick all the partners, the stakeholders together. We have a human-computer interaction expert also to make sure that things are moving seamless, because even if you are using an open source learning management system as Moodle, the idea of having a seamless interface is really important. And this is why we have a human computer interaction expert in with us in the team. Also, we are having developers concentrating on which parts to develop in when it comes to the front end or the back end and the things like that. So this diversity is important. Then we are going to run a sort of consulting round table in which the first team who started the research are going to have a check on the system to see how things are going. So this is how the collaboration is going between everyone. And this all this diversity to look for the system from different perspectives, from a human computer interaction, from the engineering perspective, from the computer science perspective. We see a pedagogical perspective is important to have something that is like unique and can help really the students, because education is not, we can't say that take the education from just the engineering part or from just the pedagogical part. It needs to be holistic approach.
All right, thank you, Marwa. And actually, there's an interesting question here. Another important group in terms of stakeholders are the parents, I guess. And the question here asks, are parents involved at all in the process or in the shift to this use of like an intelligent tutoring system or the tablets? Because in the context of Egypt, parents were at the time opposing this shift to tablets a few years ago because of this reluctance of trusting technology. So do you face this problem of mistrust from parents or from teachers about implementing a system like this or that sort of thing? It's a good question.
Actually, this is a very good question. This is a context, and this is totally another context. Okay. So I was one from those who were not with the transformation using tablets in the Egyptian schools, because I am a communication engineer and I am aware of the infrastructure that we have in Egypt. So to have such an initiative in Egyptian schools widely for all on all levels is need another way to design things. Okay. It's not that the parents were opposing the tablets. You need to address and this is what a human-centered approach is all about. It was supposed to go to see to have the parents on the table first, see the needs, see everyone, bring all the stakeholders before deciding that tablets is the solution or the silver bullet who is going to shift our educational system. So I was not from those who are looking for tablets to be the silver bullet that is going to enhance our education system. But when it comes to community schools, the context is different, because inside the classroom, you see they are a limited number by the end. Inside the community school, they are not big. They have the tablets already. They are using it because one of the telecommunication foundations is supporting them to have tablets, to have internet. Those students don't have the variety of entertaining toys that the other students might have in the capital, in Cairo or in Giza or Alexandria, or whatever, on the other schools. They don't have those smart mobile phones. They are not sitting on TikTok. They are not sitting on YouTube when they go home. They don't use those stuff. They might not be even having a television at home. So for them and for their parents, going to the school, dealing with the tablet is something good, is something that they want their students to have. So the context and the environment is different. And this is why the human computer center, the human centered approach is important. You need to see what the group you are serving, their needs first, before deciding to do something, what resources they have, and you can use those resources to design something. And this is different from just deciding that a silver bullet is going to do everything.
Yes, that's a very good way to explain it, exactly. Do we have any other questions from the audience, or anyone would like to make any final comments? Marwa, would you like to say anything? Dr. Nagla? We
I
just
think
have
we
like
need to
3 minutes.
answer Dr. Nagla's question, because
Oh
we
yes,
left that to
the
the end.
larger one. Yes, I totally forgot. Go ahead. Yes, please.
Regarding bias, and this is going to be lasting. Regarding bias, it's important to look for two sorts of biases. The technology bias, which is going to result from the engineering part of the design of the system, So the system is going to make its own errors, and this is expected to happen as everyone just experience ChatGPT or whatever system when you give them certain data and you find them giving you an answer about something totally different. I have been trying some platforms asking them to create a text to image related to fraction, and you can see seawater. So something really irrelevant to what I was like writing down. So those are technology bias, but there is the social bias, and this is the most dangerous part. And to me, a social bias is always a question and a puzzle, because you have the social bias here. When it comes to technology, it becomes worse. So if you are in a community that is against Black people, and you design the system that is going to deal with people Black and white, but the system gives penalties to Black people, then you already, with intention, put integrated a sort of a social bias inside this system. This is done by intention. That way, technology can't help you. If there is a social bias, technology won't be able to eliminate the social bias by itself unless the system is designed to do something to eliminate those sorts of social biases. So the examples here are unlimited. One of the platforms I really like, it's the AI incidents database, in which they give you reports into different incidents of AI in different fields. I love this website, and sometimes I make my presentations from it. Like I capture cases and I reflect on those cases. So there you can find cases in which a system is designed saying that it's going to support its support to help students help eliminate spot the criminals the criminals before they do a crime. And you find that this system is biased toward selecting Black people only, because according to certain statistics that the data fed to the system, Black people were the majority of them were criminals. Okay, so before doing the crime, and they may be not going to do any sort of crime, they are unrelated to any sort of crimes, but the system say that this person might be a criminal in the future because he is Black. So what happened is the police there in this place started to harass those people, although they did nothing, because of the system recommendation. So this is something. When it comes to like face recognition, and the EU AI Act is very, very strict when it comes to face recognition, because as any sort of bias or mistake in something like face recognition, when it is used in like capturing criminals, it might result that you are someone who is not a criminal get captured. So it's another thing that could happen. And one of the cases that was really to me I was not happy with it at all, when it came to the medical assurance. So one of the systems readjusted the recommendations in the medical assurance to recommend you to a certain hospital according to a certain credit and how much you pay to the company. So you may be in need of medical help, but when you go to the hospital, they are not going to help you because the system decided that you are not going to be helped. And this is because your medical assurance period is going to finish after 1 month from now. So the hospital is going to reject you because it is, you see. So the system is programmed to allow you if like you have 2 years coverage or more coverage than the other. So you see, it's a double sword. Technology is a double sword. It's put in the right way, it can help you to eliminate the bias in the society, but if it's used in the wrong way, it can help you to it can be even worse when it comes to credit scoring and social scoring, like in China, doing social scoring for people, deciding if you like putting you in a sort of data. You are translated into a group of data and then the system decide if you deserve to take a loan or not, if you deserve to have a certain job or not, if you deserve to enter a certain university or not. So you are not free to choose, and this is done by the system. So we need to enhance the social bias first before putting our social bias inside the technology. And then it becomes the technology which is the bad, like the mask that we show to people. Technology is the bad. It's not us, but mainly we are us who are doing and controlling the technology.
Thank you very much, Dr. Marwa. If I may, Nadine, just thank for this amazing answer. It's just exactly, we're so aligned, and really I learned from your answer. Thank you so much, and I'll pass it on to Nadine. Thank you for this and for the talk. I'll pass it on to Nadine.
Thank you. I was just going to say it's an excellent way to wrap up, because that's basically the whole point in all of this, and everything that we try to do is to show that technology is a double-edged sword. Technology on its own is not sufficient. Human interaction and intervention is key. It's not important. It's the most important thing to guide the technology in an equitable way, basically. And I think on that note, our time is up. So we'd like to thank you, Dr. Marwa, so much, as always, for your excellent insights and for your time. And thank you to everyone else for joining us and for your interesting questions. And until our next webinar soon.
Thank you very much, Nadine. Thank you very much, Dr. Marwa. Very interesting presentation. We always learn from your expertise and from your great work. I'm very, very grateful. So thank you, Nadine, Khadija, and thanks to everyone who's joined. Thank you very much.
Thank you for this opportunity, and for the students who joined us, for Dr. Nagla, Nadine, and Khadija, and the whole team. See you soon. Bye. Have a nice evening. Bye-bye.
Thanks.
Bye.
We'll stop the recording.